James from Mint Content here. Today we're going to talk about how to turn failed business proposals into opportunity. So basically, we must learn from when we fail, right? Otherwise, what's the point? So in the context of a failed business proposal, that means asking your prospect why you lost. So many people ignore this opportunity because people rarely seek criticism or feedback because people's egos are just too fragile. So our minds don't really like reminders of our losses because it's unpleasant. So if you don't complete this feedback loop though and ask the prospect what went wrong, you'll miss a vital opportunity to improve. So let's say that you're taking on board customer feedback nets maybe a 10% improvement on future proposals. After 10 failures, you'll have a proposal that's 100% better than the first one, right? So it's a subjective measure, but it's a good way to conceptualize the benefits and take the process seriously. The best way to get customer feedback is to organize a debrief meeting with the evaluation committee. So usually there'll be one on offer. If not, 9 times out of 10, the prospect will agree to one if you ask. So in my own personal experience, I've written hundreds of business proposals, and I've been on the losing end of many debrief meetings. At first, I gained pretty low value feedback because the advice I received was too vague or not actionable. I just didn't know what to ask, and I didn't know how to ask it, so I didn't get the right information. And I didn't know how to feed it into a useful continuous improvement cycle so that my proposals could get better. So it is difficult to elicit good advice from prospects. Many people will accentuate the positives to make the meeting go smoother. Again, for the same reasons, people don't like receiving or giving bad news necessarily. And I don't know how many times the customer has said, your bid was really good, it was really well written, it just didn't have what we were looking for. So you need to dig deeper. But before you can ask the right questions, you need to follow a few basic rules. Number 1, if you wrote the bid, you must attend the debrief meeting. So don't send proxies or assistants. You and your writing style are not above criticism. So number 2, track every win and loss in a spreadsheet with the following columns. The RFT ID, win theme, your price, the winner, why did they win, the winner's price, lessons learnt, and process improvements. Maintain a lessons learnt register for your company's sales and bid process. Lessons that aren't fed into your continuous improvement cycle are basically useless to you. So turn those lessons into process improvements, update quality checklists, etc., etc. Bring a notepad to take notes during the debrief meeting. So you've added continuous improvement into your sales process, you've arrived at the debrief meeting with your notepad in hand, you're pretty well prepared. So here are the right questions to ask. Number 1, do you have any advice on how we can improve our proposals in the future? So you must ask this question first. Not only is it the most important question in the long run, but it also lays the groundwork for every other question that you want answered from the client. So here's why. People always feel more valued when you ask for advice rather than their opinion. Everyone asks for opinions, few ask for advice. So it frames the response in the context of an imbalance. They're the superior, they're the benefactor, they're the customer who has power. So people like to feel important. And no one likes giving bad advice. It just feels wrong. So by asking for advice instead of opinions, you've cut through a lot of the empty opinions that you'll be given, the empty calories that won't mean anything when you're in that when you're trying to get great feedback inside a continuous improvement cycle for the next proposal. So this is a powerful approach, and not many people do this. Number 2, what do you remember about our proposal? The answer to this question will tell you if your win theme resonated with the evaluation committee. So the quicker they answer, the more likely that your win theme was on target. If it didn't resonate with them, you might need to work on making future win themes more persuasive. There's plenty of great books about how to make things more persuasive. All of the Robert Cialdini books like Influence, his new book Persuasion, and I think Dr. Carmen Simon's Impossible to Ignore is also a great book about making written arguments more persuasive and zeroing in on ideas that people will respond to. Number 3, did our proposal lose on price? So discussing pricing sometimes makes people or companies, the people in the room, feel uncomfortable. So if you're dealing with government clients, often the debrief panel is reluctant to share the information on the winner's price. But to counter this, you can trawl the awarded contract notices online, and then you can track that figure in your spreadsheet. So was your bid too low? Was it too high? You can start building up a database to help you position your price for next time. So sometimes you lose because of value for money. This is where lower quality offerings win because of a budget versus risk ratio. So the higher risk, inferior quality proposals sometimes win only because they lowball the client on price and you can't compete. But in this case, your bid might just have lost because quality wasn't the determining factor, and unfortunately that's the case a lot of the time. So if you think that this has happened to you, take on pricing feedback with caution. Take on any feedback there with caution. Sometimes it's just suspect information that you're getting back, but your bid could have objectively been the best, except price could have been too high, or quality factors might have played a part. So criticism and feedback might be just smoke and mirrors in this case, but if you position the conversation by asking for advice, the risk of that is being low. So again, coming back to asking for advice rather than asking for opinions. So you'll also get better at identifying low-value feedback over time. The more meetings that you're in, the more L's you chalk up, the more you'll be able to really tell what's valuable and what isn't. Number 4, why did the winning bid win? So this question is really good because it's your chance to reverse engineer the win theme of your successful competitor. So which message resonated with the evaluation committee enough to tip the scales to your competitor? So you can use feedback there to course correct for next time, and you can see how your competitors position themselves, and you can beat them next time, hopefully. So if a client is not willing to divulge much information and you feel that this approach by the client or the prospect is kind of odious, there's not much you can do except for the fact if you're delivering to government, you might be able to do things like request a Freedom of Information Act release of documents. And usually they will because they can protect, or companies can protect their intellectual property proprietary methods when they submit the bid. They can ask for certain pieces of intellectual property like pricing methods to be protected and not released. So there's plenty of opportunities to gain really good value from debrief meetings, but you've got to do it in the right way. So make sure the feedback will be useful to your business, track the results, try and embed continuous improvement into your bid or sales process, frame the debrief conversations as a means to receive advice from your prospect, and then ask the right questions. Thanks for listening. James from Mint Content.